you guys want to fire Mike McCarthy? We'll talk about where things sit and the potential replacements. Do you want to move on from the Cowboys' fifth-year head coach? FM for fire Mike. KM for keep Mike. Go vote in the comments right now. The Cowboys are 3-3. That is where many of us had them at. How they've gotten there has been what is so concerning. Mike McCarthy is in a contract / lame duck year. It's one and the same here. Any calls to fire him are completely valid because he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good enough. Let me clarify that. There's been good stuff, not consistent good stuff. In most spots, 3 straight 12-win seasons probably gets you an extension. It probably does. But you continuously fall short against good teams, and you have gotten your butt kicked 3 times in 3 first halves in 3 games at home this season. That is unacceptable. And I think your biggest issue is ownership. I can't fire the owner as much as I might like to. So it's the next man up, and that would be your head coach. Now, Jerry Jones says he's not considering an in-season change. Okay. Whatever. The Cowboys don't like firing coaches, and it is because they are cheap. They have admitted this, that they don't like paying coaches to not work for them. That is what they have said. There is no salary cap on coaches, and yet the Jones boys operate like there is one. That, we don't want to pay a coach to not be here anymore. We're gonna give him the entire year. That level of patience was a mistake with Jason Garrett, and it's proven to be a mistake right now under Mike McCarthy. It feels like when, not if, the Dallas Cowboys move on. Maybe it's a mid-season firing if they get embarrassed in prime time by San Francisco. Maybe that gets this ownership to go, all right, we're done. After you have the bye week, all that time to prep. You have the 49ers coming up. You know what they're going to do to you. If you get embarrassed again, maybe there's a mid-season change. Maybe it's at Thanksgiving. Maybe it's once you're eliminated. But I think the odds of it are higher than what I thought they would be. I had them at 3-3 at this point. How they've gotten there has been worse than what I thought it was going to be. So what is the % chance that Dallas actually fires Mike McCarthy mid-season? It's the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. I'm not going to rank the head coaches yet because it's October and there's going to be guys that up and boost and hurt their stock as we move along here. I'm going to bucket them into groups here. Internal options, former head coaches, offensive minds, defensive minds, and when I'm calling just straight up bad ideas, please don't do this stuff. Let's go to the internal options. So these might be better as interim candidates, and I hope they'd be interim candidates because I don't want to make these guys real head coaches. Mike Zimmer. My nightmare is that they just make Mike Zimmer the full-time guy, which would be so stupid because the defense hasn't been good either. And that is a boring retread hire again. It's not all his fault, but he has not inspired confidence as a head coach candidate. Al Harris is the young, intriguing name. He's never been a coordinator. Probably too big of a jump. Brian Schottenheimer isn't good either at his job. They feel like, well, what does he do? Not enough. Your best interim candidate might be John Fossil, because then Mike Zimmer can do the DC, Schottenheimer can do the OC stuff, and you can have Al Harris contribute and more. But those are all interim candidates. I don't want to hire any of these guys as my next head coach. I don't think that would be a smart decision. I don't think it'd be a good long-term play. They can be my interim. There's scenarios where specifically Al Harris and Fossil can return on my staff next year. They can be my interim coach, but for 2025, no. You need real change. That's not real change at all. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. They also invented the Flex Play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your winnings and your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit, I always do the flex play unless I'm taking advantage of one of the little bonuses that Prize Picks always offers. I got less than on Quinn Ewers because he's hit that number twice this year. That's it. Carson Beck, less than because he's been right around there 50% of the time. And I like the more than on Anian Smith, kind of also covering my bet or my pick a little bit there against Carson Beck. Tom today, get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. Again, you don't need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Let's talk former head coaches here. First up is Mike Vrabel, who I'm intrigued by. You got to figure out the offensive coordinator stuff. That's a big concern because he didn't do a good job after losing Matt LaFleur and Arthur Smith, because that's what happens when you have a non-play calling head coach, or offensive-minded coach at least. It gets a little bit dicey sometimes. But he's won previously. He's a bit more of the tough guy coach. Maybe you need that. I'll put Pete Carroll here too, which he's pretty old. It might just be too late there. His defense also kind of fell apart in Seattle, which I think is something that is concerning. But again, he has the track record and the pedigree. I'm very intrigued by Robert Saleh as a defensive coordinator. I don't want to go to the fired coach immediately 6 months later. I think that's probably not going to work out for you. I am down to interview him and make him my DC, though. And then there's Bill Belichick, who is going to be a popular name, and for valid reasons. He's one of the most winningest coaches ever. He's had a great track record, but has benefited from Tom Brady. You could have a power struggle, though, in Dallas if Bill Belichick comes in. I think the overall talent that you should be able to add and have overall with your team makes this a potentially appealing job for Belichick, but does he want to be GM? Because he wasn't a good GM down the stretch of New England. He was actually kind of bad, frankly. Who's his OC? Is it going to be Josh McDaniels again? I don't know if I want that. So of the former head coaches, look, Belichick stands out for a reason, because it's the type of splashy move that Jerry Jones will at least consider when it comes to coaching. So do you want to hire Bill Belichick? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. I want to begin with Lincoln Riley on the offensive minds. Now, I think it is more possible than what it was 2 years ago that Riley leaves USC. That is because they're not that good. And that also is like, hey, he's available because he might not be as good. Do you want him then? I don't know if he'd be a good NFL head coach. I think he'd be a good offensive coordinator, but he's not going to take an NFL OC job. It's head coach or nothing. I don't know if that's the best path for you to go down. But I think it's more feasible than it was, 2 years ago, or when he was at Oklahoma even. The name that I would love to get is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is a damn good offensive coordinator. You saw what he did against Dallas, right? There's creativity, there's motion, there's guys wide open. There's a lot of good stuff from Ben Johnson. My dream scenario is Ben Johnson is your head coach and Robert Saleh is your defensive coordinator. That'd be great. Todd Monken is an older offensive mind, but boy, he's making the ground game look pretty good in Baltimore with Derrick Henry just doing outside zone stuff. I like what he's done with the Ravens. They don't have great playmakers on offense. Now, Lamar Jackson makes everything easier, to be fair, with his mobility. But I would interview him. I think Bobby Slowick is benefiting a bit too much from the Shanahan tree mindset, but you kind of could use a Shanahan tree guy. He's a little bit too reliant on the ground game, especially when his backups are in. He still kind of tries to run the ball a little bit too much for me. Inefficiently, by the way. But Shanahan tree, that matters. Joe Brady, the Bills OC. Look, if the Bills get back on track, big if. This is being filmed before Monday Night Football, by the way. He's going to get interest. So of the young offensive minds, there's several. Brady is one of them. Now, my lone request is the Cowboys do a real coaching search. Because it's not easy to hire a head coach. You miss. It happens. The stuff that gets you hired doesn't always lead to you being a good head coach. I want a real coaching search. With that in mind, who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to hire as their next head coach? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's go to Liam Cohen, the Bucs offensive coordinator, a Sean McVay tree guy. Doing a lot of good stuff in Tampa. Also made Will Levis look good his 1 year at Kentucky. Maybe shouldn't be overlooked. There's elements of the passing offense I don't like from Drew Petzing, but I like his ground game stuff. I think he's an underrated guy, has some Stefanski tree connections, which, hey, if Stefanski gets fired, that could be a decent dark horse option for you too. But I'll put Petzing on there. Clint Kubiak's stock has dropped a little bit. The Saints have not been nearly as good after the first 2 games when they've kind of tried to hide Derek Carr, and when they haven't been able to hide him, it hasn't been as good still. Kellen Moore has to be on here, though. It might not be a good idea. Full stop. I still don't know if he's actually a good play caller. The Eagles' offense has not been that great this year. It's been okay. It's probably a bit better than what it was last year, but they still got turnover issues and third down woes. But would anyone be surprised if Jerry did this? Would anyone be surprised? I don't think so. I'll mention Adam Stenavich, the Packers offensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur does a great job in Green Bay. It is very different than Mike McCarthy. I do want to emphasize that. I also don't know if you could get on board with a non-play calling OC taking over as your head coach. Now, if technically, the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy or invite him to not return, we will have a video for you. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Let's talk defensive minds. There has been no better defensive coordinator right now than Brian Flores. The stuff he has done has been awesome. Now, he's got big question marks around him, though. He didn't handle the Dolphins Tua stuff well at all. He's admitted it. Has he learned? Maybe. He has the lawsuit against the NFL. That fair? It's not fair. It's probably going to be an issue, too. But on field only, he's good. Dark horse name is Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator. I don't think he's ready, but he's done a pretty good job out in L.A. He's on the Mike McDonald path pretty quickly here. Aaron Glenn is going to get interviewed for like every single job. In part because of the Rooney rule, but he's a former player who kicked the crap out of your offense and also played for the Cowboys. Denard Wilson, under the radar name. He has done a great job today. The Titans are a top 5 really defense right now, despite the offense being terrible. Don't sleep on that one. And then Ejiro Evero gets interviewed consistently, but I don't think he's actually that great of a hire. In general, I'm not as intrigued going down the defensive coach mind. I think you can do better. I think you should go offensive minded if it's going to be a first-time head coach. So what type of coach would you prefer? O for offense, D for defense. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I've got bad ideas that I want to mention here. First up is Deion Sanders. This is a bad idea. Seriously, it is. He is not an NFL coach. He has said that. He doesn't want to coach in the NFL. He is a circus. You are already a circus. I don't want to go down that path. It's a terrible idea. Let him do his college stuff where he can recruit, and that's how he wins. Putting Deion in the Cowboys head coaching spot is a disaster waiting to happen. Among your notable college coaches, I don't want Dabo. I don't want him. You talk about this organization doesn't like to adapt and evolve. Look at what Clemson's doing. They won't use the transfer portal. Not interested. He can stay in college. Never coach in the NFL. Marvin Lewis. This was the one guy. Shut up, producer Stone. He's a Bengals guy. This is the one guy you interviewed outside of Mike McCarthy last time. This is a Stephen Jones buddy. I don't know what I will do if they even interview Marvin Lewis. I don't know what they will do or what I will do. But it will be bad if they go down that path. I'm going to mention this too and get ahead of myself here. I am worried they're going to hire Mike Zimmer and make Jason Witten the coach in waiting. That has been whispered before. This is a terrible idea. You should not be hiring former players who have never coached at the collegiate or NFL level. It's stupid. I don't pitch this as this Dan Campbell idea. No. Done a great job at Liberty Christian Argyle, whatever it is. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Also, any former players, any washed coaches, I'm not going down that path. I'm not doing Jimmy Johnson. He's ancient. I don't want to do Cliff Kingsbury either. He's sucked at every head coaching job he's had. I'm done with him failing upward. We're not doing Tony Romo. We're not doing Peyton Manning. Stop it. Those are all bad ideas. We're doing serious candidates only. These guys are not serious candidates.